Hi everyone, my name is Kate Kalthoff and welcome to a Stamping to Share video. Today I'm going to share with you a card created with the Wherever You Go stamp set. And it's a more feminine card, and I like this because a lot of times with this particular stamp set we tend to, I think, gravitate a little more to a masculine look. But I do love that it's sort of a collage-y like stamp set, and it's kind of fun to do it in some more feminine colors. And this is just such a nautical look because we're using the By the Shore Designer Series paper. And then on the inside you can see there's a little heart and of course a couple of doilies to accent it. Now that's not to say you can't have doilies on a masculine card. I'll be showing that to you down the road, but for today we're going to keep this more feminine. So again, let me show you the stamp set. It looks like this, Wherever You Go. And it has the bridge and the Sending Thoughts Your Way. So in a way, this is kind of a good one for people who are experiencing change in their lives. Maybe someone who's retired or someone possibly who's experiencing a hardship. It's a really, really good stamp set and very versatile. And then we'll be using the 2015-17 in color doilies. These are kind of fun to use, and it's a good way to see how you can use these as an accent on your cards, both on the outside and the inside. We'll be using our enamel shapes. Now these are the subtles, which we happen to be using in our cards today, but we have them also in regals, brights, and in some in colors. And then we're going to be using By the Shore Designer Series paper. This is so fun. And you can use it, of course, for nautical cards, but you can also use it for cards maybe that don't have any nautical theme in them at all. And that's what I love about Stampin' Up! Designer Series paper. Now I've seen this used in sunset backgrounds and in winter backgrounds. In fact, I saw a really cute igloo card using this as a background. And so there's just so many things you can do with Designer Series paper. You may not know this, but Designer Series paper, certain types of it, are actually on sale through October 31st. So there's 8 different kinds. 2 of them are actually from the holiday catalog, so that's kind of nice. But this is a limited time sale, so it's October 1st through the 31st, 2016. And you can just go to my blog at www.stampingtoshare.com to see more information about that. But for now, let's go ahead and get started making this card. We're going to start with some mint macaron cardstock. This is 5.5 by 8.5, and I've scored it at 4 1/4. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to take my bone folder, and we're going to make a nice crease here. So this will lie flat for us while we work with it. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the inside panel first. So for the inside panel, we have a 1/2 inch by 5 1/4 inch piece of Designer Series paper, again from the By the Shore Designer Series paper pack. I'm going to put that in with a little multi-purpose liquid glue along this left side. And then we're going to need a little scrap of Calypso Coral. So we have that right here. And I'm going to stamp in Dapper Denim this sentiment, Wherever you go, go with all your heart. And then we want to run this through the Big Shot machine with our hearts. We have some hearts layering framelits from Stampin' Up! This one is our Sweet and Sassy set. So I always think of these as being the more sassy hearts because they kind of have that little curve in them. And then we have our Sweet Hearts because they are our more traditional hearts. And so we're going to use a more traditional heart when we run this through the Big Shot machine. And I did go ahead and do this just to save a little time on the video. So I use the magnetic platform, then I have a cut plate, then of course my paper, and I just framed that heart around my sentiment, and then I put a non-cut plate over the top so I could see what I was doing. And so now we'll just take this out, and we have our perfect little die cut heart, and our image is cut out of it perfectly. And so then what we're going to do is we're going to take one of these little in color doilies. I've gone ahead and I've cut it into sort of a V shape, and we're just going to set this here over the top of the heart. And once we have that centered in place, just to keep it from wiggling all over the place, we're just going to go ahead and secure that with a little Scotch tape. Then we can add a little multi-purpose liquid glue to the back. And then we'll just set this in right here inside our card for a cute little sentiment. And now the inside panel is done. So that didn't take very long. Now let's work on the outside panel. So again, using this wonderful By the Shore Designer Series paper, I had so many choices, and I decided I would use this because I think these really wide stripes can present a little bit of a challenge. They're great in scrapbook pages where you have maybe a 12 by 12 surface to work with, but big, bold stripes like this can be a little harder to work with on cards. So I thought I would challenge myself to do that. And so I have that already cut out. It's 4 by 5 and 1/4. And because there's no wraps or anything like that, I can just go ahead and glue this onto my card. Now, I did find that as I was playing with this card, the image was getting a little bit lost because, again, these are such big, bold stripes. So I found a way that could sort of anchor my image and plus kind of break up some of the monotony of this blue and white stripe. So I took, and on the back side is the stripe, so I just used the reverse side of this Designer Series paper. I took a 3/4 inch by 5 and 1/4 inch piece of that Designer Series paper, and I'm just going to glue this right over here over the top of this stripe. So that's kind of fun because we can put a little glue right down here, and then we're just going to set this over the top, and it just adds a pop of color and breaks up that stripe action, as you can see. I mean, we still have the stripe action going on, but it just breaks it up with a pop of color over here to the left. So that's going to help anchor our image. Let me bring the regular card back into the picture, and you'll see that I'm going to be stamping a sundown here with Calypso Coral. And so that also brings in that color from that stripe that we're adding in. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to prepare our image panel, which is going to be on Whisper White. I have this at 2 3/4 by 3 1/2, and we're going to add some little dots on that, and we're going to do that with our aqua painter. Aqua painters come in a set of 2 from Stampin' Up. We have one that has a wider brush. You can see just how large that is, and then one that has a little bit smaller brush for more detailed work. Now we're going to use this to speckle our background paper, so I'm going to use the wider brush. Now I do have water in here, so my speckles will be a little bit more faded because the water is going to fade that. If you want a more dramatic look where the speckles are not as faded, you would want to take the water out of your brush and work from just a damp brush. So we're going to start by putting in our grid paper from Stampin' Up. Stampin' Up has wonderful grid paper, and honestly, I like to use it for brainstorming. So I sat down last night and tried to figure out how I was going to work the remainder of the month, the 25th through the 31st. And so it's just kind of fun because it's a really big space so that you can do a lot of brainstorming and just get some thoughts out of your head. So I do that on occasion, not all the time. It's my goal to try to do that more often. But we're going to use this wonderful grid paper just so that as I'm splashing, I'm not going to splash all over my work surface. So I'm going to go ahead and put that 2 3/4 by 3 1/2 inch piece of very vanilla paper back into the picture here. Then I'm going to take my Dapper Denim ink, and I've already squished some to the top of the pad. And so I'm just going to add my water brush here, my aqua painter, and grab up some of that ink. And then I can just go ahead and tap it with my finger, tap it against my finger, and I have all these wonderful splashes. Now I'm going to go ahead and take out the excess from this water pen, because if I don't do that, sometimes that will actually pull up into your water pen, and then you will have a little bit of tinted water in there, and I don't know what my next project is, so I want my water not to be tinted. So I just keep working it over and over until, as you can see, the pen is now clear. So now I can go ahead and cap it, and it'll be ready for the next time that I need it. So we are going to remove this from the picture. You can see that it's going to need a little time to dry. These speckles are pretty wet at this point, and you'll be happy to know that I prepped one in advance. So we'll go ahead and set this aside. Let me get this out of our way. And this is the one that we're going to be working with. Again, it's the same size as what I had showed you before, 2 3/4 by 3.5. I am going to bring my grid paper back into the picture one more time because I think some of my stamping is going to go off to the edges. And so now let's go ahead, and the first thing we're going to do is stamp that bridge. Everything pretty much is going to be stamped based on where this bridge is. So I'm inking it up with Dapper Denim ink, and I am going to just set this here. And the main thing that I'm doing is making sure that this bottom portion of the bridge is parallel with the bottom of my paper, because that is going to give the right look. And so there it is. There's the bridge. That looks beautiful. Then we're going to bring this sun in, and I'm going to use Calypso Coral ink. I'm going to ink that up, and I'm going to set this right down here, and I'm just going to give it a stamp. And there it is. So we have 2 of those images already stamped, and it's looking just beautiful. The next image that we're going to stamp is the compass rose, and making sure that my north is north, I'm going to go ahead and stamp this right here. Now I want this high enough so that the center of my compass rose can get a little enamel dot. So I didn't want it too low onto the bridge, so I brought it a little bit higher. And then we're going to do our sentiment in Calypso Coral, and it says sending thoughts your way, and I'm just going to stamp this right over here. Perfect. And now we want a bird kind of flying, and I could put the bird here, or I could put it here, or maybe I'll do 2 of them. We'll just have to see what happens, and I'm just really feeling like I want it right here. So there's our bird flying off. And now we need our compass rose accent. So I'm going to bring in those enamel dots. These enamel dots are the Subtles collection, and I'm going to be using the Calypso Coral from that. So I'm going to take one of these little enamel dots with my paper piercer, and we're just going to set this right here in the compass rose. And our image panel is done. So I'm going to bring that up to the camera here so you can get a good look at that. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to attach a little doily that's been cut in half. This is mint macaron, and we're going to set it back here until we think it looks pretty good. And then when I think it looks good, I'm just going to flip it over, and we'll just keep it in place with a little bit of Scotch tape on the back side. Now we'll add another panel just to give it a little pop. And this panel is going to be 1/8 inch larger than our image panel. So it's 2 7/8 by 3 5/8. And I'm going to attach my image panel now with snail. So I'm just going to go ahead, put snail on the back of here, and then we'll go ahead and put this right here on top of this Calypso Coral panel. And I'm just hoovering it over the top, making sure all 4 borders are even, and then pressing it down. To add it to our card, all we have to do is add some dimensionals. As you can see, I've gone ahead, I've added 5 dimensionals. We're going to bring our card back into the picture, and we're just going to center this so that our bottom and our right and left borders are even. Press that in, and our card is complete. So this is what the card looks like on the outside and the inside. Let me clean this area up a bit, and I'll show you what everything looks like all in its completion. Here's the card I've just completed, and here's the card I had done for you in advance. It was a lot of fun sharing with you how to create this more feminine wherever you go card. I truly hope you've enjoyed this card tutorial. Thank you so much for stopping by Stamping to Share. If you are interested in placing a Stampin' Up! Order, please see my blog at www.stampingtoshare.com, and there's links there that will take you to my online store. I truly appreciate you. Bye-bye.